Johnny Murray here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're going to be ranking every character in Expedition 33. Now, more specifically, we're going to be ranking the 6 playable characters that are in the game. But before we get into it, just know this is going to be spoilers. I mean, just the characters that you get to play and the characters that you meet are spoilers along the way, and how you have to rank them, you kind of have to spoil it as well. So there are going to be spoilers in this video, so if you have not played the game, make sure you do that. It is a phenomenal game. Make sure you do that because I do not want to spoil it. It's something you have to experience for yourself. But if you have played the game, if you know all the characters, if you know how all they play like and what all their stories are, then this is the video where we're going to be ranking all 6 of them. Now, the way I'm going to be ranking this is I'm kind of combining, character in terms of story, in terms of how I liked their arc, how I just like their personality, their design, all that stuff. But then I'm also going to be looking at their gameplay, like how good are they, right? In terms of like who was my mains, what was my party, right? And that also goes into how I rank them. Just overall as a character, where do they rank for me in this game? That's what we're going to be looking at. But if you guys love video games, consider subscribing and share with your friends. Doesn't matter what you love, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, third-party, PC, VR, indie, whatever it may be, we cover and talk about video games daily on this channel, and there are so many awesome things to talk about gaming-wise right now, especially with Expedition 33, so make sure you subscribe, share with your friends. I appreciate all the support, especially the support on this video right here. But without further ado, let's start ranking this. Now, this game is incredible. If you guys have not seen my review, make sure you go check that out. This game is absolutely awesome, and one of those big reasons is the characters. The characters and the gameplay is elite. Probably some of the best we'll see all year, hands down. Maybe even some of the best of all time. But we're going to rank the characters, and let me just go and say, number 6 is not a bad character, okay? Even though this person is going to come in last place, I still really like this character. I think this character has a lot of great things about her. Spoiler, said her. And I think that there is a lot to like, but I think just compared to the other characters, I just didn't vibe with her drive, what like her character was about, what role she played in the story, as well as her gameplay. I just very rarely found her useful. Early in the game, I did find her useful, but the farther in you get, the other characters are just so much more powerful and so much better. So coming in at 6th place is Lune. Lune is a really good character. There really isn't anything wrong about her. But like I said, when I look at it from the gameplay side of things first, like I said, early on, she is very cool because she has a lot of different magical abilities. Her little gimmick that she has with the different color, whatever you want to call them, power-ups, I think are really simple and really easy to follow. She has a lot of multi-enemy hit stuff, and she's just one of the more unique characters because she does have like magic and she flies and stuff like that. But when you do get later in the game, she just does not have the power or the complexity that you need for specific things when it comes to breaking shields, when it comes to status effects, when it comes to these really high HP and high damage enemies. She's just not a very viable option. But that being said, she's still good. I don't think any of these characters are bad. I think all these characters, if you do a right build, if you do a build that works for you, they can be very useful. But for me, I just did not find myself really using Lune after about halfway through the game. And I think that's just because the other ones are better. Again, I don't think Lune is a bad character. When I look at her from a story, though, perspective, and just what I think about the character, I think she does have a lot of great moments. I really like her relationship that she has with certain characters, especially with Gustav in the very beginning. But I think the thing that didn't really grab me with Lune, I love her design, don't get me wrong, although put some shoes on, like what are we doing? Like, bro, you're running around a huge battlefield with like tons of like probably swords and stuff on the ground, and bro, girls just barefoot walking over the place. But I think her premise and what her drive was, the kind of role that she played in the whole group, is just not a role that I particularly like, where it is that person who wants to follow all the rules, who only will follow protocol, who will very rarely bend the knee to do anything emotion-wise. Like, she doesn't want to save the person because she just wants to focus on the mission. She doesn't want to do this thing because it wastes time, right? You absolutely need those roles in stories like this, and I think she does play that role really well. I just don't really like that personality when it comes to a character. That being said, towards the end though, I do like what they're doing with her, because you know, you are getting to that point where you are about to beat the mission, and you know, she definitely starts having these lines of dialogue that's just like, oh man, yeah, you can tell they're about to pay her off, and so I do really like this character. Just because she is in 6th place does not mean she is bad. All these characters are amazing. It just so happens Lune was probably my least favorite, but there's still so many great things about her. But coming in at 5th place, again, I really want to put this character higher because there are so many great moments with her. Again, spoiler her. And that is Mael. Mael, I think, is a wonderfully written character. I think she is a well-designed character. I really like the role she plays in the game. Obviously, in some ways, she is the main character in the game, I would say. And I think they justified that. I think the way that they wrote her, I think the way that she plays out in the story, I think justifies that she is the main character. The reason I, again, don't like her as much as the other ones is, in the first act, she kind of does play that, you know, just scared of everything, curious about everything, is always being watched over, and so you don't really get her as a character as what you see in the 3rd act or the 2nd act, right? Where I think she really shines. She definitely shines in the 3rd act. The 3rd act is when I was actually started like, okay, I actually like this character a lot. In the 1st and 2nd act, I was kind of like, I don't really know if I'm vibing with this character very much, but in the 3rd act, she really shined. But I do think where I do lower my liking of this character is she has the most convoluted story out of all the. I mean, I don't know. There is one that is also debatable having the most convoluted, but she does have kind of multiple different characters in this game. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, spoilers, she is Alicia, she is Mael, she's the sister, she's a daughter, she's an orphan. She's all these different characters kind of combined, and they kind of have to try and mesh it together. I think they do a really good job of it in terms of the overarching story, but I think I kind of lost my personal attachment to Mael when that whole alter ego thing started taking place. I know it's not an alter ego, it is just a very like a multiversal, whatever you want to call it, an alternate reality reflection image of herself. I kind of lost my personal attachment to that, but overall I think she's a great well written character. There's a lot to like about her as well. Gameplay wise, I used her quite a bit. Like, she was definitely one that I had in my party for a good chunk. I just think outside of her really cool stances, I like that. There's just not a lot to her. She's just a very well built gameplay character. Whether you want to go offensive, defensive, or like really powerful, she has that with her stances. She has some burn capabilities. She has a lot of things. She's really good at parrying. So she is a really good gameplay. I think if I was to redo this ranking just in terms of gameplay, she would go a little bit higher on this list. But I think overall as a character, Mael falls at 5th place for me. But coming in at 4th is Verso. Verso, I think, is, again, a character I really enjoy. I actually started to like him less towards the end of the game, just because he started, like, the way they wrote the character and the way that he played out, he kind of started just being, like, weird and just, like, all over the place, had mixed emotions about everything, and just never seemed to... He kind of lost all his aura towards the end. But nonetheless, in that 2nd act, he is an absolute star. He absolutely shines. I absolutely love what they did with this character, especially his entrance. I think he really made an impact when he first entered. Ben Starr kills it in this role, which, by the way, all these characters, the voice actors, are phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. And then Verso's gameplay, I really love. Like, he is definitely a top 3 gameplay for me. He really just knocks it out the park with his perfection system. He is kind of like a Gustav clone in a way. If you guys play the game, you know why. But for the most part, I think he just deals so much damage. He has a lot of versatile options. He has the ability to heal himself with status effects as well. And yeah, he just has a lot to him. And then obviously his character is really cool. He doesn't show up until the second act, which is kind of a bummer. But when he does show up, he shines. I just kind of lost my attachment to him the closer to the end we got, but he still is a really great character. But going into our top threes, kicking off number 3, we have Monaco. Now, first, I'm gonna just go ahead and say Monaco's gameplay is pretty simple but pretty cool. His gameplay is super unique in the fact that when you beat an enemy, if he is in your party, depending on the enemy, he may get that enemy's ability, and you can use that as your attacks. I think that's really cool. But also his gimmick is he has a wheel in which every attack you do, it rotates the wheel a certain amount, and whatever color the wheel is on, it will increase or do these extra bonus effects for whatever move you use. So if you use a move, it may rotate the wheel 3 times. If the wheel is on a red icon, you can use an ability. If that ability is buffed by that red icon, then you get that buff. So I really like that. I think it's a really clever gimmick that the character has. He's pretty powerful, has a lot of health, a lot of defense. He is that kind of tankier character. But I think for me, where Monaco really shines is he is undoubtedly the funniest character in this game. Not only is he the funniest character in this game, he is one of the funniest characters I have ever seen in a video game. He made me laugh out loud so many times. He cracks jokes that just come out of nowhere, and it almost takes you a minute to register like what he's saying. And when it hits, it's like, did that guy really just say that? Like, this guy is hilarious. Monaco, man, shout out to this dude. He is hilarious. He has great emotional moments in there. His voice actor killed it. He just brings such a vibe to the group that I just really appreciate. And yeah, I really loved Monaco. Like, there were so many moments in the game where I'm like, man, Monaco's my GOAT, like, for real, because there is so many great things to love about him, and his gameplay is really good as well. So Monaco is a top 3 character for me. But kicking off number 2, my runner-up is actually Gustav. Now, if you guys have fully played the game, you're probably a little bit surprised on why this character is this high, because, spoiler alert, he dies after the first act, and you don't get to play him again. And the reason he's at my runner-up is, number 1, let's just say his gameplay was able to progress throughout the whole game. I think I would have really liked him. I think he would have been one that I considered having in my party a lot. I think that his overcharge system was pretty simple. I think it was pretty smart, pretty straightforward, had a lot of damage. He had some versatility. He was the only one with like a gun as well. And so I really like that. It's definitely nowhere near like Verso's gameplay or CL's or Monaco's, but it was pretty solid. But where Gustav really did it for me, and in a way, he would be number 1 if I did this ranking entirely based off of story. And I know you're probably thinking, well, he doesn't really get a story after Act 1. That is absolutely false. If that is what you think, you did not understand what this game was trying to tell in terms of a story. Gustav really is that driving force throughout the whole game. Even when he's not on screen, in the character's dialogue, in the character's motives, in the character's drive, you can tell Gustav is always in the back of their mind. He is always in the background. In Act 2, there are so many things that you are doing that is in honor of Gustav. There are so many characters that you can tell that they really cared about him. And his death really set up the second and third act. This game would not hit as hard if Gustav did not die in the end of that first act. And I think that is so powerful because he's great in the first act. He's funny. He's really cool. He has great motives. He had one of the greatest openings I've seen in a video game. It is beautiful what they were able to do with him and Sophie. He was a terrific character in Act 1, and his death meant so much to that game. One of the biggest moments that I cried multiple times in this game, but majority of those times were because of Gustav. Especially at the very end when he shows up again in the new reality that Mael has built, and he's with Sophie. It feels like the payoff. Everything you did, accomplishing the mission, it turns into, from the opening, it turns from a mission to save humanity, and it turns into a finish what Gustav started. And I absolutely love that about this game. Gustav really is, in my opinion, the heart and soul of this game story. Yes, Mael may be the main character. Verso is like that guy who comes in that changes everything. But in terms of emotion, in terms of relationship, Gustav is that character. He set it all up, and he put it into position for what Act 2 and Act 3 were able to accomplish. And part of that goes to his performance. Charlie Cox is incredible. He is one of the, dude, this is his first ever voice acting role for like a video game. Sign him to so many games. He killed it. He absolutely killed it. And I just think, man, Gustav is a wonderful character. Genuinely, if he did not die in Act 1, which again, I'm happy he did because it helped Act 2 and 3 so much. But in terms of gameplay, in terms of character, he'd probably be number one. But you don't really get to play him for majority of the game. And so it does kind of hurt him on my ranking. But he is absolutely my favorite character in terms of story and just his role in the game. 100% loved Gustav. But my number one comes down to CL. And CL was just my goat throughout the whole time. There was not one moment she left my party. She was always in my party. I put the Picto on her where she always attacks first no matter what. And she was just a powerhouse. Her gimmick is the most complex gimmick out of all of them. Having all these foretells, being able to apply, being able to consume, light, dark, and then having like tons of different things. She had the most complex gimmick that took a while to learn, but when you learn it and you figure it out to its fullest, she is probably the most powerful character in the game in terms of damage. She had the most health for some reason out of my whole party, and she didn't have the highest vitality either. So I'm kind of curious why that, but she is an absolute beast. If you have not figured out how to play with her, I'm telling you, if you really want to do a lot of damage and just do really good, she can heal herself, she can heal others, she can do so much. Learn her and put her in your team, because I'm telling you, it will make your life so much easier. And she's super duper fun. I love her weapon, I love her design. She was absolutely my favorite in terms of gameplay, hands down by a long shot, like not even a competition. But she is also a really great character in terms of story. She doesn't quite reach the level of Gustav or I would even say Monaco, maybe even Verso for me. But she is still really good. I think where this character really shined for me, or where she really resonated with me, is Lune is a character who wants to do it for the good of mankind. Because she swore oath and she understands the assignment. She wants to do it for the world, and I get that. CL is also like that, but maybe not to the absolute extreme. She was on board of bearing Gustav. She was on board of doing all these things that weren't exactly to only prioritize the mission. But when there were moments when they had to focus on the mission, she was about that. Mael, she's complicated because she has so many different personalities. But she was also like Lune, where she just wanted to complete the mission. That was her thing. But then it became a revenge story for Mael. Verso is always the one who just wants to save his family, undo his wrong, do all those things, finally end the whole curse that he's been stuck in for years and years and years. Monaco is just, he's the helping hand. He's somebody who they went to for extra help, and he had an emotional attachment to his son, which ended up dying, and so he then wanted to see the whole mission through. And then Gustav, he wanted to do that whole Lune and Mael, finish the mission, stick to that, but he cared about his teammates, and he cared about his companions so much that it cost him his life, and he was even willing to risk the mission just to save those people. CL, for me, was the only character that I felt a sort of, she was doing it so she could see that loved one again. She had a husband and a kid back home in Lumiere, and the only way to see them again was to fulfill that mission and to stop the curse. And for me, that resonated. Lune, they didn't really specify anybody who she was trying to get back to. Mael, it was Gustav, but Gustav died. Gustav wanted to get back to Sophie, but Sophie ended up obviously fading away in the beginning. And Monaco obviously lost his son, and Verso didn't really have anyone to go back to at all. CL was the only person where they actually tried to pinpoint somebody or a character that she wanted to go back to, and that hit for me. I resonate with that, and I just like that idea of a character. And so for me, she has absolutely the best gameplay, and I really liked her story. Maybe in terms of writing or humor or performance, she wasn't the absolute greatest, but I think she was a very well simplified character that just did her job absolutely. And so for me, CL was my favorite, but genuinely, and this is what I want to say, whether your favorite is Lune, which is my 6th, I still think she's great. Whether your favorite is Verso, Monaco, for all these different reasons, whether you're just going off gameplay, whether you're just going off a story, I think any of these characters can be number one. And I wouldn't even argue with you, because what this game does so special, why it is as good as what it is because of these characters. These characters are stellar. Some of the best one of the best just cast and group of characters I've seen in a video game in a long while. They absolutely crushed it, and you can make the argument for all of them, and I'd agree. So that is my ranking of all the Expedition 33 characters. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? I know I put probably some of the fan favorites towards the bottom, and that's okay. It happens. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Johnny Moore out. Peace.